Alien head splash symbol, job done. But the two horny alien females had one final naughty request for him. The unexpected rescue. Karim Hassan wiped the sweat from his brow as he tightened the final plasma coupling on the damaged spacecraft. 3 days of non-stop work in the zero-gravity repair bay of Nebula Station had left him exhausted, but the satisfaction of a job well done coursed through his veins. The sleek silver vessel before him hummed back to life, its crystalline energy cores glowing with renewed vigor. Repair manifest complete, he muttered into his comm unit, closing his toolkit with a decisive click. As he pushed himself toward the exit, a shimmer of movement caught his eye. 2 figures emerged from the restored ship, moving with an otherworldly grace that made his breath catch. They were identical twins, their skin a luminous pearl white that seemed to glow with inner light. Flowing silver hair cascaded down their backs like liquid starlight, and their eyes, one pair violet, one pair azure, fixed upon him with an intensity that sent his heart racing. "You are the one called Karim Hassan?" the first asked, her voice melodic yet powerful. She wore flowing robes of deep purple that seemed to shift like nebula clouds. "I am Zephyra," she continued, placing a hand over her heart in formal greeting. "And this is my sister, Lunara." The second twin, dressed in complementary blue robes, stepped forward with a gentler smile. "You have saved not just our lives, but our mission. We are diplomatic envoys from Luminara, carrying peace accords to the Galactic Council." Karim shrugged, his calloused hands gripping his toolkit. "Just doing my job, ladies. The station AI will process your payment." "Payment?" Zephyra's violet eyes widened. "Our culture does not settle life debts with mere credits, Karim Hassan. You have earned something far more sacred." The sacred request. Karim floated awkwardly in the zero-gravity bay as the twin sisters exchanged a meaningful glance. Lunara's azure eyes sparkled with warmth as she drifted closer, her movements as fluid as water. "On Luminara," she began softly, "when someone saves a life, they become bonded to that person through what we call the stellar thread, an unbreakable connection of gratitude and trust." Zephyra circled to his other side, her violet gaze more intense. "Our people believe that such moments are written in the stars themselves. You didn't just repair our ship, Karim. You preserved a peace treaty that will save millions of lives across 3 systems." Karim's logical mind tried to process this. "I appreciate the sentiment, but I'm just a mechanic. I don't understand what you're asking." "We ask that you accompany us to Luminara," Lunara interrupted gently, her hand hovering near his arm without quite touching, "to witness the completion of our diplomatic mission and receive proper honor from our people. It would take only 7 planetary cycles." 2 weeks, Zephyra translated, noting his confusion. "And we promise the journey will be enlightening." Something in their dual gazes made Karim's pulse quicken. They weren't threatening or demanding. Instead, there was genuine hope in their expressions, vulnerability beneath the formal request. These weren't just diplomats. They were 2 beings who seemed to see something in him beyond grease-stained coveralls and calloused hands. "I have another contract starting next month," he said slowly, his practical nature warring with unexpected curiosity. Lunara's face lit up with a radiant smile. "Then we have time. Please, Karim Hassan. Our culture takes life debts very seriously. To refuse would bring us great dishonor." Zephyra added with a hint of playfulness, "Besides, when was the last time you left this station? A skilled mechanic deserves to see the wonders of the galaxy." The twins moved in perfect synchronization, their hope palpable. Karim found himself nodding before he fully understood why. "All right," he agreed. 2 weeks. But I need to pack proper clothes." Both sisters' faces transformed with joy, and they clasped hands together in celebration. As Karim turned to leave, Lunara called out, "Karim? Thank you. You won't regret this." Watching them return to their ship, he wondered what he'd just agreed to. 2 days later, Karim stood in the observation deck of their spacecraft, mesmerized. Luminara hung before them like a jewel, a planet of crystalline mountains, bioluminescent forests, and cities that seemed woven from light itself. Twin moons orbited in perfect harmony, casting silver and gold reflections across vast oceans. "It's beautiful," he breathed. Zephyra appeared beside him, close enough that he could feel the warmth radiating from her. Our world is called the Mirror of Hearts. It's said that Luminara reflects the true nature of those who visit. Lunara joined them on his other side, her shoulder nearly touching his. Our people are matriarchal, but we honor those who serve others selflessly. You will be welcomed as a hero, Karim. As the ship descended through clouds that shimmered like oil on water, Karim noticed how the twins kept glancing at him, then at each other, communicating in that silent language only siblings share. There was something they weren't telling him, something that made his stomach flutter with nervousness and anticipation. The landing platform emerged from mist, surrounded by towering spires of what looked like living crystal. Crowds had gathered, their luminous faces turned upward expectantly. Are they all here for the peace treaty? Karim asked. The sisters exchanged another meaningful look. Lunara bit her lip before answering. Partially. But also, they're here to witness the sacred choosing. The what? Before they could answer, the ship touched down with barely a whisper. Zephyra turned to face him fully, her violet eyes serious. Karim, there's something more we must tell you about our request. Discovering Luminara. The ship's ramp descended into a world that defied Karim's every expectation. The air itself seemed alive, carrying the sweet scent of star blossoms and thrumming with a low, harmonious vibration that resonated in his chest. The crowd parted as the twins led him forward, their hands gently guiding him by each elbow. The sacred choosing, Zephyra began as they walked through corridors of crystalline architecture, is our culture's most honored tradition. When twin sisters of diplomatic rank complete a mission that preserves great peace, they must select a guardian, someone who will stand beside them as protector, companion, and life partner, Lunara finished softly, her azure eyes meeting his with vulnerable honesty. Karim stopped walking. Wait. You're saying? We're asking you to consider bonding with us, Zephyra said directly, though a rare uncertainty flickered across her face. Both of us. In Luminarian culture, twin sisters share everything, duties, honors, and yes, sometimes love. His mind reeled. But you barely know me. I barely know you. Lunara's hand found his, her touch warm and tentative. That's why we have 7 cycles, to discover if the connection we felt aboard your station was real or merely gratitude. The ceremony requires only that you're present as an honored guest. The choice to truly bond, that comes only if all 3 hearts agree. They led him to quarters that overlooked the city's heart, a magnificent garden where trees grew with leaves of pure silver, and flowers bloomed in colors that shouldn't exist. A feast waited, prepared by their family. Over the next hours, Karim met their mother, the high diplomat Seraphine, whose knowing smile suggested she saw more than he was ready to admit. As evening fell and Luminara's twin moons rose, Karim found himself on a balcony with Lunara while Zephyra discussed treaty details with council members inside. You're afraid, Lunara observed gently, standing close enough that their arms brushed. Terrified, Karim admitted. My life has always been simple, tools, ships, problems I can fix with my hands. This is beautiful and frightening, she agreed. Like standing at the edge of the unknown. She turned to face him, moonlight catching in her silver hair. Karim, my sister and I have served diplomatic duty since we were young. We've met warriors, princes, scholars from 100 worlds. None of them saw us, truly saw us, as individuals beyond our titles. But I'm just a mechanic, he protested. Lunara's laugh was soft and genuine. You're a man who spent 3 days without sleep repairing a stranger's ship because you knew lives depended on it. You didn't know we were diplomats or that a treaty hung in balance. You simply saw beings in need and gave everything to help them. Her hand cupped his cheek. That's why our hearts chose you. Before Karim could respond, Zephyra emerged onto the balcony, her expression urgent. The council has been attacked, saboteurs who want the peace treaty to fail. They've taken hostages in the crystal archives. The security forces are overwhelmed. Without thinking, Karim turned to her. What kind of security systems do they have? Zephyra's violet eyes widened with understanding. Electromagnetic barriers and drone defense. Why? I've bypassed similar systems a dozen times during station emergencies, Karim said, his mechanical mind already working through possibilities. If you can get me close, I can disable them without triggering alarms. Lunara gripped his arm. It's dangerous. You could be hurt. He met both their gazes steadily. You saved lives by reaching me for repairs. Now let me save lives by using what I know. That's what partners do, right? The twins looked at each other, that silent communication passing between them, before Zephyra nodded sharply. Then we go together. All three of us. As they raced toward the crisis, Karim felt something shift in his chest, the first true thread of connection binding three hearts into one purpose. Hearts of crystal archives rose before them like a cathedral of light, its translucent walls now flickering with emergency warnings. Karim crouched behind a luminescent hedge with the twins, his practiced eye analyzing the security grid that pulsed red across the entrance. There, he whispered, pointing to a junction box disguised as decorative stonework. That's the primary relay. If I can rewire the feedback loop, the barriers will drop for exactly 43 seconds before backup systems engage. Zephyra's hand rested on his shoulder, her touch both protective and trusting. That's all the time our security forces need to breach without casualties. But you'll be exposed while working. I'll shield him, Lunara said firmly, her gentle demeanor replaced by steely determination. She produced a small crystalline device from her robes. This creates a light refraction field. It won't hold against direct weapons fire, but it will buy precious seconds. Karim looked between them, these two extraordinary beings who had entered his life days ago and somehow awakened something he'd kept buried for years. The loneliness of drifting between stations, the walls he'd built around his heart to avoid connection. Now, kneeling in danger beside them, those walls felt paper-thin. Together then, he said softly, they moved as one unit. Lunara activated her shield as Karim sprinted to the junction box, his fingers flying across alien circuitry with the same confidence he'd shown repairing their ship. Zephyra coordinated with security forces through her comm device, her commanding voice never wavering even as energy blasts scorched the ground nearby. 20 seconds, Karim called out, sweat beading on his forehead that a saboteur emerged from shadows, weapon raised. Before Karim could react, both twins moved in perfect synchronization, Zephyra projecting a force barrier while Lunara's shield expanded to encompass all three of them. The blast deflected harmlessly. 10 seconds. The sisters pressed closer, their luminous forms creating a cocoon of protection around him as he completed the final connection. The security grid flickered, died, and in that moment of vulnerability, Luminarian forces surged forward. The crisis was over. Later, in the tranquil garden beneath twin moons, Karim sat on a bench of living stone while the twins settled on either side of him. The adrenaline had faded, leaving only the profound realization of what they'd shared. In Luminarian tradition, Zephyra began, her usual confidence softened by emotion. When three souls face death together and emerge united, it's considered a sign from the stars themselves. Lunara took his hand, her azure eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Karim, we told you the choice would take 7 cycles. But I think all three of us already know. His callous mechanic's hand looked so different between their luminous ones, yet it felt right, like puzzle pieces clicking into place. I've spent years convincing myself I didn't need anyone, he admitted, his voice rough. That connections were liabilities, that caring too much only led to loss. And now? Zephyra asked, her violet gaze searching his face. Now I'm terrified, he confessed, because I've never felt anything like this. Not just attraction or gratitude, it's like you two have somehow become essential. Like I was incomplete and didn't even know it. Lunara shifted closer, her head resting gently against his shoulder. On Luminara, we believe souls recognize each other across time and space. Twin sisters share one soul divided, and sometimes, rarely, that soul finds its missing third. Zephyra's hand cupped his cheek, turning his face toward hers. We're not asking you to abandon who you are. Your skills, your independence, your beautiful practical mind, those are parts of why we love you. Love. The word escaped as a whisper. Yes, both sisters said simultaneously, then laughed at the synchronicity. Kareem's heart thundered in his chest. He'd faced malfunctioning reactors, explosive decompression, and tonight's armed saboteurs with less fear than this moment. But as he looked at Zephyr's fierce devotion and Lunara's tender hope, he understood that some risks were worth taking. "I don't know your customs or traditions," he said slowly. "I can't promise I'll always understand your diplomatic world. But I do know that when I'm with you both, I feel more alive than I have in years. So if you're truly asking, we are," they said together. "Then yes. My answer is yes. A new beginning." The ceremony of hearts took place 3 days later in the Garden of Eternal Moons, witnessed by hundreds of luminarians whose luminous faces glowed with joy. Kareem stood between Zephyr and Lunara, dressed in robes their family had gifted him, deep emerald fabric woven with silver threads that caught the light with every movement. High Diplomat Seraphine presided, her voice carrying across the assembled crowd. "Today we witness a union blessed by ancient tradition and cosmic fortune. 3 souls who found each other across the vastness of space now bind themselves in partnership, protection, and profound love." The ritual was beautiful in its simplicity. Kareem, Zephyr, and Lunara each placed their hands upon a crystal sphere that pulsed within a light. As they spoke their vows, promises to honor, support, and cherish, the sphere's glow intensified until their 3 hands seemed fused in radiance. "I vow to stand beside you both," Kareem said, his voice steady despite the emotion threatening to overwhelm him, "to learn your world while sharing mine, to be the anchor when you need stability and the wind when you need freedom." Zephyr's violet eyes blazed with love. "I vow to respect your independence, to trust in your strength, and to never let my commanding nature overshadow your voice. You are my equal in all things." Lunara's tears flowed freely now. "I vow to show you every day that love multiplies rather than divides, that 3 hearts beating as one create harmony more beautiful than any single melody." The crystal sphere exploded into countless motes of light that swirled around them like a galaxy in miniature before settling into 3 matching marks on their wrists, interconnected spirals that glowed faintly, visible proof of their bond. Weeks later, Kareem stood in the workshop they'd created together, a fusion of his mechanical expertise and their luminarian technology. The diplomatic ship he was customizing would carry all 3 of them across the galaxy, with Zephyr commanding, Lunara navigating, and Kareem ensuring they'd never be stranded again. Arms wrapped around him from both sides. "Still happy with your choice?" Lunara murmured against his shoulder. He turned, gathering both sisters close. "Every single day. Though I never imagined my life would involve quite this much diplomatic protocol." Zephyr laughed, pressing a kiss to his temple. "And we never imagined falling for a grease-covered mechanic who argued with our repair specifications." "I was right about those plasma couplings," he protested, making them both giggle. As they stood together in their shared workspace, Luminara's twin moons rising through the viewport, Kareem marveled at how a simple repair job had led to the greatest adventure of his life. He'd gone from solitary drifter to beloved partner, from fixing broken ships to healing his own broken heart. "Ready for our next mission?" Zephyr asked, pulling up a star chart showing distant systems. Kareem looked at both his partners, his loves, his anchors, his wings, and smiled. "With you too? I'm ready for anything." Their ship hummed to life around them, carrying 3 bonded souls toward a horizon filled with infinite possibility. Lessons from the heart. Love multiplies, never divides. When we open our hearts to connection, we don't lose ourselves, we discover more of who we can become. True love expands our capacity for joy, courage, and compassion. The greatest courage is vulnerability. Kareem's bravest moment wasn't facing danger, but admitting he needed love. Opening ourselves to connection despite fear of loss is the ultimate act of strength. Partnership means growing together. Zephyr, Lunara, and Kareem each brought different gifts to their bond. In healthy relationships, differences complement rather than compete, creating something more beautiful than any individual could achieve alone. Home is not a place, but the hearts that hold you. Whether on a space station, an alien planet, or traveling between stars, we find home wherever we're truly seen, valued, and loved for exactly who we are.